You're about to watch one of a three-part series between myself and Nick Cosentino, where we discuss why you should use BrandGhost, including making the case that to optimize your career growth or your job search, we should all become content creators. In part two, it is how to use BrandGhost, and so that includes an app UI walkthrough, an overview of the feature set, and then topical guidance on some of the content that we've seen perform well. The third part is a behind the scenes of BrandGhost, which includes origin story, vision, as well as upcoming features you can expect, and we talk about the tech stack that BrandGhost is using. Regardless of which part of the series that you're currently on, you can check the YouTube video description for links to the other videos. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, give the video a like for more tech career guidance, and now on to the show. Enjoy. Okay, by way of introduction, why should you listen to me? My name's John. I'm a staff software engineer. Latterly.io has allowed me to grow a social network that contributed to my job search. So in 2024, I'll get into more of this detail later, but in 2024, as one example, I went through a job search, and half of my first round interviews were socially referred. They were inbound or related to my social network. And that's where BrandGhost comes in. So BrandGhost is going to be an AI-powered tool that helps you create posts, all kinds of different posts, consistently, at a consistent bar of quality, with some AI magic and all sorts of other details we'll dive in momentarily. And so, Nick, what did I miss?
I think you're spot on. The BrandGhost sort of story for me is really about the consistency part. And this kind of feeds into like some of who I am. But in 2013, I decided I was going to start actually creating content. I was going to start writing a blog. And this was because I became an EM and I had no idea what I was doing. So I said, I'm going to learn in public. I'm going to write blog posts. And I did it for a few months. And I said, no one's reading my blogs. I'm trying to share these things out. What the heck's going on? And I gave up. And that's over a decade ago. So I told myself at the start of 2023, so literally exactly 10 years later, I said, I'm doing this and I'm going to be consistent. And as I started to build out the consistency with posting, I said, I need to systemize what I'm doing. And that's sort of how BrandGhost came to be. So I needed to make sure that I could be consistent, getting stuff out all of the time.
I guess the question is, why use this? Yeah, why use this? So I'll give you my 2 cents on why use it. And by the way, I've been using BrandGhost. I know, as you said, Nick, you also use it. So not only are you a co-creator, but also dog fooding a bit using the thing, which I think is a brilliant strategy with any tool. So here's some of the results that I've seen about it. And I have only been using the text-based modality. So I will give some results, but I think this is a conservative estimation on what the audience might forecast on their usage. By the way, there is a discount code in the YouTube video description. You can also visit latterly.io/perks. You can get a discount on this one. I think it's 10% off. Yeah, and a whole bunch of other tools. So why do social media at all? Well, I mentioned the 50% inbound job interviews, which is largely due to my social reach. At the time, this was over the summer, my LinkedIn follower count was in 4 digits. It was in the 4-digit range. And then my follower count across channels was in the 5-digit range. And so I think both channels are important, but when it comes to inbound opportunities, LinkedIn is going to have a disproportionate impact. So a lot of recruiters are using LinkedIn. They have a special recruiter view where they can execute sort of search, just like you might go to Google and search for a website. A recruiter might go to LinkedIn Recruiter and search for skill keywords, and hopefully they find your profile. This has to do with profile optimization. You want to make sure that your skills are added. Your experience is detailed. You have a good description under each experience item, mentioning smart metrics, so quantitative impact, and then also these skill keywords. Maybe it's HTML or CSS or something like this. On LinkedIn, as I said, I was in the 4-digit follower count. LinkedIn will change the number of connections that you have, the message there. It will say you have 2 connections, you have 50 connections, you have 100 connections, but once you go past 500, they do something interesting, which is they just say you have 500 plus connections. And so studies have been done on folks that are above and below this threshold, and surprise, surprise, when you're above this threshold, you have more opportunities, you have more views, and basically more career opportunities. Specifically, HubSpot and LinkedIn have both studied post frequency on LinkedIn. And those who post 4 times per week or more tend to receive significantly more interview requests. Now, I think we can pretty easily extrapolate that it's better to do 5 than 4, and then it's better to do 6 than 5, and it's better to do this on Twitter and LinkedIn than only LinkedIn. So it's better to go multi-channel and basically multiply and leverage your impact. So I think the thought experiment is easy enough, but Neil Patel has also done analysis on this, which is complimentary, that shows, again, surprise, surprise, posting once per day on LinkedIn is optimal, and it's better for your connection count growth compared to 4 times per week. Okay, so I don't think that's surprising, but it's another data point. And I think I'll be concise here and just mention one more. Again, check the video description for much more on this. I've done like several videos on this topic, but I'll just do one more data point here. And that is that there's a best practice in content creation, which is sometimes called the circulation method. It's sometimes called evergreen content. And that is, you can identify particular pieces of content which perform well. And then the question becomes like, what should I post? Should I post like some ongoing like newsy stuff, like what's going on now? Okay, maybe. Should I post a meme? Maybe. Memes do fairly well. But one of the best predictors for what you should post today that will perform very well is what you post last week that did very well. And so this idea is called like evergreen content or the circulation method. And BrandGhost helps automate this. It builds it. We'll get into the feature set, but basically it allows you to repost evergreen content with very little time, like almost no time. Maybe the best way to communicate this would be zero marginal effort. So there's like a little setup, but once it's set up, it just keeps going automatically.
That's right.
Okay, I should post like every day, according to Neil Patel. The problem is like I enjoy sleeping, I enjoy eating, I enjoy doing various other activities that involve me not posting on social media. So what if I had a tool that could just take care of that for me? So whenever we have manual social media management control, there is higher degree of effort, higher time, and risk involved. Risk that you will forget to post that day, or even forget to post for a run of days. And so I view BrandGhost as a tool that cuts risk because it will just consistently post for you. It cuts risk, it saves me time, and my time is valuable. So I think the financial calculus is really straightforward. I think if your hourly wages are over $20 an hour, frankly, I haven't really run the math, but I think even if you were earning $5 an hour, which is illegally low, I think it would still be a good investment. But at $20 an hour, I think you clearly save enough time that it's worth it. And there are a couple different tiers, but I think that math holds even for the higher tier. So that's the first pain point. The first pain point is this risk thing. Like, man, I'm going to forget to post. And so BrandGhost is there to help. Two other pain points. One, which is not really a pain point for me, but it might be a pain point for the beginner, which is a consistent bar of quality. So BrandGhost has some embedded AI that's going to help you phrase. It even helped me make some emojis, which was cool.
Nice.
And for me anyway, the posts with emojis did better by a small amount. And so just brain dumping to BrandGhost and saying, hey, like turn this into a post, and then it's going to be able to word that to something that resembles like at least a consistent bar of quality. So it's easier for me, it's less stressful for me. And the third one is it reaches channels that I typically don't post to anyway. So an example of this for me would be, I am not active on Blue Sky, but it's been trending lately. And so what if I had a tool where whenever I post to Twitter, it just sort of posts to Blue Sky for me? And this is the approach that Latterly already recommends for short form video content. So going back to Latterly perks, we have repurpose.io down here. You can get a free trial if you click that link. And this is useful for short form video. So we're streaming today, and check the video description. There's my social media course where the traditional advice from Latterly is stream, clip it, repurpose it. And you get this levered impact across social media channels. The problem is short form video content is not the optimal media on the LinkedIn platform. And so BrandGhost fits right into this strategy, and it says, hey, we're going to give you text posts, text with image, and then maybe some other stuff. We'll let Nick speak to that. But we know that these posts do better on LinkedIn, and then I don't know about Blue Sky, but repurpose.io just doesn't support Blue Sky. So we're getting exposure to these additional audience that we would not otherwise get exposure to. And here's where my final data point comes in. With Latterly social media content on YouTube, the audience overlap between short form and long form is 5%. And that's on YouTube. Forget about between YouTube and like Twitter. So if the audience overlap is 5%, you're getting essentially two completely different audiences. You're getting like a 90% impact increase by overclipping into the shorts. And so what if you could extrapolate that to the channels that BrandGhost covers? According to my napkin math, it's a pretty wide range, but we should expect anywhere from a 2x to a 20x increase in views by leveraging text-based, I don't know if this is what you call it, Nick, but this is what I'm calling it, text-based repurposing to the channels that BrandGhost supports over and above the short-form video that I would encourage people to use with the repurpose tool. But what about you, Nick? When people say, hey, BrandGhost sounds cool, it has an awesome logo,
yeah,
but why should I use it? Or why do you use it if those reasons are different?
AI generated logo too. It's got to lean into the AI for it. No, I think you listed a lot of good points, right? I think I want to mention this before I get into some of the spiel here, but when we set out to create BrandGhost, this was really, like I was saying, it's like my content strategy, and we built the original set of features to facilitate that. Throughout that journey, though, we realized that is one type of creator who, like someone like me who has lots of content, someone like you, John, who has lots of content, you want to be able to get into this mode of repurposing. But we realized for new creators, you might not even be there. You're like, I have to start posting. So what I want to talk about is sort of these two different aspects and how they tie together in like a creator journey. But I loved your point about de-risking. And the other thing I wanted to layer into that is I won't just repeat the de-risking part, but I wanted to say, like, for myself, I go through periods where I kind of get overwhelmed with how many things I'm trying to do. And I've talked about this like in live streams and recorded videos and stuff, but like little things start to drop off for me. Like, to give you an example, I have caffeine in here with some flavor, and my vitamins, I have a bunch of vitamins. They're in the exact same spot as where my caffeine and flavor is. When I'm feeling overwhelmed, just from like, starting to get a little bit of burnout, or just could be anything, I start to not do simple things. Like, I will not take my vitamins, even though they're right there. And that means for something like posting to social media, it's not that hard to do. Not that hard to do if you're used to doing it, right? I've been doing it for a while, but I would still stop doing it because I'm just overwhelmed. So it's for me, it's de-risking in the sense of like that experience overwhelm. I can just say I am overwhelmed. I can step back, and it still just works. So for me, that's a huge value add. I really like that aspect.
Yeah, thanks. And I can see how that would lower stress as well, even besides the risk, is like the kind of cognitive stress where sometimes I get cognitively stressed, things fall off, and then I don't do the thing. So I'm like worried about posting on social media, and I'm so exhausted. My exhaustion plus the worry leads to me just not posting. Where if that stress could be eliminated, I would have like extra energy to go do a thing. So besides solving the task, it also frees up that stress, which is nice.
We're going to give you cross-platform posting across as many social accounts and platforms as you want for free. So you could go pay for Buffer. You get the free trial. I think you get 3 platforms, and then you have to start paying. And we said, no, we just get it all for free. So if you wanted to start creating content today, you can start posting cross-platform and scheduling posts 100% for free. So the way that this looks is that you would say, okay, well, today I want to start posting, and I have a LinkedIn account. And John, as you were saying, you're like, okay, well, yeah, go register your Blue Sky account. Because for most people, you'd say, oh, it's a bit of a pain in the butt. Now I'm going to have to copy and paste a post across. And this is what I lived as BrandGhost is being built out. I would optimize my time, get some time back, and I would say, great. Like, now that part's automated, I can go post on this other social media platform. And then I would start to get overwhelmed, and I was like, okay, like, go code it up, make sure it's working. Now I get that time back. Now go do another platform. So the nice thing is for users, you don't have to do that now because we've taken that on, and you can go register an account for free on some platform and just post to that platform totally for free. So what happens is you start building this momentum, right? We want to make sure that we can do things like sort of like gamify it a little bit so that we can say to you like, hey, look, you haven't scheduled a post for today or this week, right? And that way people can be guided down this path of like, if I want to become into this next step, which is where John's at, which is where I'm at. And it's this topic stream feature where you have this recurring content. We can say, hey, look, it looks like you've been talking about HTML and CSS for 3 months now. Good job on posting regularly. You notice, though, it's still a bit of a pain in the butt to go sit down on a Sunday for an hour and go schedule a post for the week. Why not never do that again? Why not just create a post whenever you have a thought come to your mind, add it to your topic stream, and you never have to schedule another post again in your life?
Yeah.
And that's why we want to guide people down that path.
Let me add 2 more notes here. One is I heard you say something about beginners sometimes have trouble understanding the topic for which they should post. I addressed that in depth in the video on screen now, Content Creation for Career Acceleration. Earlier, I waved my hand at the fact that this is linked in the description, but I just want to re-highlight it. And then I'll call out like a few that are starters, but the video goes into much more detail. You can see it's over 40 minutes long. One is that memes do well. 2 is you can just say what you did today. So if you are learning to code, even as a student, you don't need to be a thought leader. Common misconception. Posting as a student is extremely valuable, not only to your fellow students and to yourself, because you learn by teaching. It's also valuable to folks like me and Nick. We are teachers, but we don't necessarily understand where the gaps are for juniors these days. It changes over time. So being honest and vulnerable about the hard parts, as well as bragging about the parts that you're happy that you learned. Do both of those as a student, early career, mid-career, all the way up to senior. It's a skill set that scales. So memes, what you did today, and then stuff that is timeless, this evergreen stuff. Like HTML, okay, HTML4 is different from HTML5, so maybe it's not really timeless. But you can just post on the fundamentals, the basics of HTML for years, or for JavaScript for years. And
Right.
So Alex Hormozy has this line, and he gets it from somewhere else, but where he gets it from skips my mind, which is that we need to be reminded more than we need to be taught. And so don't feel bad about saying the same thing. And I'll tell you, as someone who has a PhD, and I've taught classes, and I've taught lots of people, you might think that you're saying the same thing, but it turns out that the 7th time that you say it, you actually say it better. And so those are 3 starters, but there's much, much more. You can check out the video here. Now, maybe we should shift into, I think we've made the case. Like, you should use BrandGhost. BrandGhost is awesome. What does that mean? How to use BrandGhost?